The following podcast may contain words, phrases, themes, and/or situations that some may consider offensive or triggering. You have been warned. Welcome to the Lazy Geeks Solo Edition. I'm your host, Steven Vargas. Oh my God, I got my own name wrong. I got my own name wrong.
What you want, what you want. What you want. Come on. What you want. Come.
Welcome to the Lazy Geeks Solo Edition. I'm your host, Steven Vargas, a podcast where I take a look at some of the chaos in our culture and shake my fist at the clouds. We're thinking so you don't have to. Welcome everyone, we're back with another solo edition. So I hope you guys had a fun 4th of July weekend, and I know there's some of you out there that got an extra day off because it fell on a Saturday. Good for you if you did. Just a couple of reminders before we get this stuff going. This is the last week of our spring fundraiser, and we're still $90 behind our goal to move our blog to another hosting company. And if we fail to do so, we'll have to move it back to our old WordPress.com free blog. And that's seriously limiting for what I want to do. And it's a huge loss for us. But if you can help us out, you can donate through Venmo, PayPal, or Cash App. Big announcement, in case you haven't heard, we have a Patreon now. So as little as $5 a month, you can get episodes of both the Lazy Geeks and the Disgruntled Cinephile early and without my annoying trailers and pleads for money. And you will also have access to polls and stuff. So head on over to patreon.com and look for the Lazy Geeks. And we have restarted our YouTube channel. For now, it's simply just the audio version of the podcast. I know some people like to have YouTube on in the background and listen. They're not really watching the picture. So if that's you, cool. You can do that too. After things calm down a bit, I will probably be doing some shorts and maybe some clips of my solo podcast in video form. However, the podcasts will be a week behind the Apple, Spotify, where your regular releases, meaning that this week's show will turn up next week on YouTube. And if you want it early, hit up Patreon. You want it as you normally do? We gotcha. Don't mind a week later, YouTube is your answer. And and just so you know, along with our Patreon, we're still accepting one-time donations for all the shows on the Lazy Geeks Network. And if you would like to get a shout out for your donation, head over to thelazygeeks.com/donations for more details on how to do so. And now that all the housekeeping's out of the way, we'll be right back with more after this. Are you tired of screaming into the void when hearing people discussing movies? Maybe you watched a YouTube video where they got all the facts surrounding the film wrong, don't understand the proper definition of plot holes, lazy writing, or how reshoots work. Maybe hearing people using the word woke so much that it's lost all meaning. That's what the Disgruntled Cinephile is for. I'm Steven Vargas, and I will take you weekly into topics of online film culture, the proper definition of terms like cult classic, and how gatekeeping anti-intellectualism should have come up with a more descriptive word than just woke. In the process, I'll discuss movies that I love, as well as new films, and I'll drop context for older films that people using only surface-level intellect miss. Join me every Thursday on The Disgruntled Cinephile on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts. I remember back in 1996, Hillary Clinton wrote a book, It Takes a Village, and Other Lessons Children Teach Us. And the tagline was basically, it takes a village, meaning it takes a village to raise children. And it takes a village entered the country's lexicon. And so many Republicans ridiculed her by saying that it diminishes the role of the parents. Yet many conservative parents of kids I knew at the time never gave a shit about their kids until they did something wrong. Now, the truth of the matter is it does take a village to raise a kid. Not just parents. This is teachers, relatives, parents of friends you have, role models in movies and television. Whether people like it or not, as kids, we are influenced by anyone around us. And if conservative parents don't like that, then get involved. Teach them right from wrong. It's what you complain about the most. And many in the right-wing political movement have always placed the results of children's behavior square at the feet of single women, complaining that these kids need male role models. And many boys got it from, fellow boys, coaches, male relatives, or sometimes older males that just happen to be around. Now, the idea that it's the women. Now, how do I form this thought? Now, the idea that if a woman just stayed with their son's father, they would turn out better. But that isn't always the case. Research shows boys raised in two-parent married households generally experience better outcomes across academic, behavioral, and economic dimensions. However, the exact percentage of boys who are better off is highly variable. As long as success is deeply tied, long-term success, I should say, is deeply tied to household income, parental involvement, and the presence of stable environments rather than marital status alone. Now, the same can be said for boys raised in single-parent homes. Regardless of gender, it boils down to income, parental involvement, and stable environments they live in. And also the pay disparity between men and women makes it a bit more difficult for women. Now, in the 70s and 80s, many central male characters in television and movies were designed to be womanizers. A committed relationship was spelled doom for a television show. Or in films, it would result in the third act to show the male character had grown. And women were treated as trophies that had to be had, and not the relationship to be in. And much of it was made to be battle of the sexes. But to believe this is something new is myopic. This behavior has been around, and it goes back to the early days of society. Men were hunter-gatherers while women would prepare the results of their hunting. That message has been spread around by public criers, books, letters, seminars, forums, and now the internet. And many of the scourges we deal with now is because it's more prominently in our faces due to YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and various other social media outlets. And just because you see it now doesn't mean it didn't exist before. Even now, some people will misconstrue my point to be, well, if it's been around since the beginning of time, so we don't need to do anything about it. But that actually runs counter to my point. Simply because it's been around since forever, it becomes more dangerous with the ease of method that such a message gets around. And the bigger issue, especially with us as a society, we would like to block those messages out rather than dealing with them head on. And even when liberals claim that issues need to be discussed, it never gets to the root. Blame it on your father or the lack of one. Blame it on your male friends, and it doesn't matter if they try to help you. Blame it on faceless entities like the patriarchy. Liberals like to think that it's important to tell them that sort of thinking is wrong, but not why. Conservatives like to say that women shouldn't be allowed to divorce men, but not the true meaning as to why. And this is the way our American culture is by design. Now, don't actually solve the problem, just create another one and we'll deal with it in another 1,000 years. Telling people you can't think something only makes them question why they can't. Adults like to say that, oh, that's like talking to a child. I say that's like talking to an adult. How many times when someone tells you not to do a thing, you respond by doing said thing? Humans are assholes. Now, for men, it's about control. And for women, it's not about leveling the playing field. The Manosphere Bros are one major visualization of why saying that's bad isn't enough. Getting to the root of the problem is where it needs to go. Is it real, a grift, or the result of someone's bad experiences? And we'll be right back after this quick break. Hey there, podcast listener. Steven here. And I wanted to let you guys know we are in the final weeks of our springtime donation drive. We are still $90 away from our goal for switching hosting companies. And if we fail to come up with those funds, we will lose the website and the use of our domain. Now, the domain is secure, but we won't be able to direct you to thelazygeeks.com with an active website. So if you would like to help us out, you can make a one-time donation through either Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal. This will not only get our thanks, but a special shout out in a future episode. Any further donations will go to make all of the podcasts self-sustaining or get me a Dr. Pepper and my cat his bougie food. And just a reminder, we have a Patreon now. For as little as $5 a month, you can get early access to both The Lazy Geeks and The Disgruntled Cinephile, as well as access to polls. Higher tiers will allow you access to a new mini-series or special Patreon-only content. So head on over to patreon.com/thelazygeeks. Now that the PBS fundraising is done, let's get back to the episode.
Can I ask you one more question?
Fire away, honey.
Okay. If you have only one place in your heart for one woman, or you want to have one woman in your heart, I think you said, why don't you just commit to one and choose to be faithful to her?
I'm just not wired that way. I spent my whole 20s trying to fix myself. Thought
You're
something
a
was
man
wrong
of
with me.
self-control. You work out, you do business.
Yeah.
You can possess your own power and direct it the way you want to direct it.
It's just not how I am. It's not how I am.
Do you think that might be a limited mindset?
I think it's none of your business, but I don't want you to think I'm triggered by you. I'm not.
Okay.
I saw somebody say that, and I think that's interesting. I think you're annoying, but I'm not triggered. You know what I'm saying? No, you are. You're annoying in like this goody two-shoes type way, and that's fine. I'm going to live my life on my terms, unapologetically, like truly. So you can ask me this 85 different ways. At the end of the day, I'm going to walk out of here the same man.
Question for you.
Yeah.
Does destiny fulfill you?
Yeah, of course.
So then, why is it open?
Because we like to fuck around.
So he doesn't then.
They have an open relationship.
Yep.
You're 100%
You
open.
can try to put on your insecurities out there, that's fine. Are your women not enough for you? You have a one-sided open relationship, right?
Because you said that you love him for him.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
But if you did, why go somewhere else?
Well, why do you fuck other women?
No, because I want to, but you. You
Yeah,
said,
because I want to.
No, you said earlier.
Does that mean that you don't
he
love your women?
fulfills-
Does that mean that you don't love your partner because you go fucking other people?
For you, yeah.
No, for you. I'm
No,
asking
not for
you.
me, for you.
Yeah, I'm the same as you. Same logic.
And I'm confused.
Can you understand that?
I definitely do.
Yeah.
Do
Why
you?
do women
Yeah, of
always
course
have
I
a
do.
double standard?
I don't know.
How is it a double standard when I have an open relationship? He also has an open relationship. We're just pointing like the Spider-Man. Do you not love your partners?
Huh?
You don't love your partners, your girlfriends. You have several girlfriends, right? Or do you have one? Yeah, do you love them? Do you love your girlfriends? Ooh, I can hear them right now be crying out there, okay? How does a woman impress you?
Her purity.
Nothing
Okay,
else
gotcha.
going on
It's
there.
it's respect.
There's not like how passionate is she or what experiences does she have. Nothing like that. It's just like how
Well,
pure is she? How untouched is she? Like a
I mean,
child.
That's it? That's what you
that's
care
not
about?
it, but it goes a long way for a man to be able to have those experiences with you instead of having to step in and change your mind. You know what I mean? So if you've been dealing with a man for
So you want to mind control a
no,
child?
it's not control. It's just having that shock factor. Just having that ability to say, I'm the one who gave her these prefaces. You know,
Pride
she got it from me.
situation.
Sounds like you're trying to find someone really
To,
young
like,
with no
shape them or
experience
something,
that
to,
is
like-
because you're so insecure
Why
that
do-
someone else
why do-
might
why
have
do-
been beforehand there.
Adam, why would
That's
you
what
want
it
a
sounds
woman
like.
that had experience with other? Why,
Because you're insecure.
how would you feel,
dramatically.
Adam, if a woman came up to you and y'all got together and y'all getting ready to do, and she said, "Hey, this is my favorite position." Instead of, wouldn't it be better if
All right,
you?
well, all right, you want me to answer that?
Tell you that or
I'm like, all right, let's give it in then. What do you mean? Brother,
older
I
girl
don't
will
want
tell
a
you
virgin.
that.
Growing up before the internet, we didn't have a whole lot of places to turn to for advice. Advice on parents, advice on school, advice on girls, and many times you ended up getting advice from people who had no reason to give such advice. You always got advice from friends who never had a girlfriend. The advice was never good, and sometimes you would get advice from uncles or relatives that were on their third divorce and working on their fourth future one. or cousins that collected restraining orders like Pokemons. Now, I was a short, fat kid, and I didn't get my first girlfriend until high school, after I dropped a lot of weight and joined the drama club. I don't know. The girls at my school, even in college, really seemed to be attracted to the characters I played. Strong, assertive, and the commanding type. Hell, sometimes my fellow female actors became attracted to me when I was merely directing a scene. Now, my dad married the love of his life. My brother was a prude and never married. My sister married her high school sweetheart and is actually still married to her second husband. Much of the advice I got from guys that I worked with or the old classic movie actors I studied on cable TV, Clark Gable, James Stewart, Cary Grant, and then I adapted when I saw the romantic leads in movies that added self-deprecating humor from the likes of Hugh Grant and Billy Crystal. Nowadays, you see these countless videos of wannabe alpha males telling people how to be a man. All you need to do is sign up for their online course, and much of it is a grift. However, lately, it seems that more of the Manosphere dudes are closeted homosexuals, like Andrew Tate and Nick Fuentes, the ones that are telling you that actually having sex with a woman is gay, yet they flout pictures of themselves hanging out with other dudes. The Manosphere today, quote, spans a wide and heterogeneous network of misogynistic ideas, anti-feminist discourse, masculinist narratives, and coordinated harassment of women and gender-diverse people, according to Engage Men. Quote, alongside these male-oriented spaces, there has also been a rise in conservative online communities for women such as the Trad Wives movement. The Trad Wives movement is often presented as a personal choice, but it ultimately reinforces patriarchal norms and restricts women's autonomy. And together, these developments reveal how digital platforms are being weaponized to undermine progress toward gender equality, end quote. Now, before we get too much into the weeds, we need to separate two groups within the sphere. Now, there is the wanna get laid group and the Manosphere group. Now, there is a distinction between them. Now, the former has been around since I was well before I was a kid. No, it doesn't make it right, but it's been there nonetheless. Now, I remember walking into bookstores as a teen, seeing books about how to get women to have sex with you, how to have the best sex life. And I remember people in the 80s were going on nighttime talk shows with the job pickup artist. And I would sit there and wonder why my high school guidance counselor never mentioned that as an option. In my talks with her, never once had I heard about being either a pickup artist or a doggy bus driver. Now, the pickup artist is a game. Now, the latter, in my opinion, is the bigger issue. Yes, people will say that the pickup artists also spout misogynistic, anti-feminist tropes. However, the end game is legit. And when I say legit, means there is a true end point. How to manipulate, how to control, how to garner support or empathy from women to have sex with you. Now, regards to the latter, according to a paper by UCL Discovery, quote, the roots of the manosphere can be tracked back to the men's liberation movement in the 60s and 70s. The movement was a critique of traditional male gender roles, which were seen as oppressive. And in the 70s, a new branch began to see the problem as stemming more from feminism and women empowerment. The so-called men's rights activists would focus on men's issues such as military conscription, divorce, and custody laws. In this new ideology, women's liberation would be inflicting on men the worst of both worlds, and the movement's empathic tone turned into anger, end quote. Now, the side that many won't concede is that it was women's liberation that is a fundamental issue. And there is a reason why they use liberation. Because prior to the women's movement, women were not protected. When you look back on society, men who owned land always had the power. Women were held as second-class citizens. In the United States, men were given power within the Constitution, land-owning white men. Now, women fought to have their voices heard. Now you have many conservative women claiming that, oh, we would be okay with their husbands voting for them. Women couldn't even have a bank account in their own name or a credit card. Now, if you listen to many of these conservatives now, like Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder, they want to do away with no-fault divorces. And that's the real crutch of the matter. Many of the Manosphere will go back to the no-fault divorce introduction. It allowed anyone to file for divorce for whatever reason. Before, you could only file for divorce over infidelity or fraud. Now, this concept allowed anyone, men and women, to file for divorce if they were in an abusive relationship. And obviously, the abuser in the relationship wouldn't want that to happen. And it's about control. And the rest of the stuff is just icing on the cake. Now, I could sit here and go into the deep dive of how these things came about and how it evolved. Again, understanding should be lesson one in the this epidemic. The root of the problem is not these grifters. The root of the problem is the people that are listening to this. What made me latch on to this angle was a Reddit post I saw a few months back. And the thread was entitled, "Am I an incel?" The thread reads, "I don't want to be labeled as one. I'm 19. I don't try and date because I know no girl would take me seriously, but I don't hate women at all. I understand their disgust when they see me, and I understand that it's natural they would want to date someone better than me. I don't go on incel forums at all, and I do wish I could date someone in the future." End quote. Now, for reference, his disgust comes from a burn scar on his face. He claims that it's gotten better, but he still sees it. And his appearance insecurity plays a major factor here. And much to my surprise, the Reddit responses were heartwarming and supportive. I know, right? And many said he isn't an incel because he took accountability and personal inventory of his feelings, even including that he doesn't hate women. True incels blame women for all of their problems. The PlayStation game took too long to load. It's a woman's fault. Now, for the uninitiated, incels are involuntary celibate men because these guys just can't get laid. And some leaders of these groups even state that to be a true incel, you need to withhold from sex and even masturbation. And I once jokingly said that if all these guys just jerked off, things would be so much more mellow. However, it's the withholding sex concept that I find funny. Because, I mean, it's not like these guys had a choice. They just can't get laid. They're not withholding shit from anyone. Now, although many members do leave the group when, guess what? They get a girlfriend. And it's fair to assume that many of those quote-unquote alpha male influencers are insecure men. Like in the first clip I played, the guy that was triggered by the woman who used his words against him, once he shouted, "It's none of your business," we all knew she had him. And when he tried to recover by saying she didn't trigger him, when she in fact did. Now here's another compilation of so-called alpha males that come off as most cringe.
Ever heard the saying soldier's eyes? So there's a saying that they use in Europe. They were talking about the men who went to World War II and they came back and there was something different about their eyes. Like all the bad things they seen was etched onto their eyes. And it's a real thing. If I ever have beef with someone, I can look him in the eyes and know if he's about it or not. You're not going to be able to imitate being a G. You have to go out there and you have to suffer as a man. You got to go through trauma to be a G as a man. Too many dudes out here are trying to imitate. That's what all this fucking shit is. You're talking about game. You're trying to be something you're not. The real game is to be the man. You're not going to ever have a look in your eyes until you've done it for real, my friend. I've been in 87 professional fights and far too many outside of the ring and cage. So you got a lot of work to do before you can look like me.
I'm going to give you ladies the best advice you've ever gotten in your life. So listen up. You can take it or not. When you deal with a man, he puts you in one of two categories. The sex-only category or the potential wife category. Okay? If you have certain habits or certain experiences that you guys claim you think is valuable, he's going to put you in the sex-only category and never tell you that. He just will hang out with you at 2 o'clock in the morning, maybe take you out here or there, maybe a day here or there, but he's never going to commit to you. Because men, just like you put guys in the friend zone, we put you on the sex only zone. We have girls that we're going to commit to and girls we're not going to commit to. The more experience you have, the less likely a man's going to commit to you because men want to be the first one for a girl. Men value purity. Women sell purity, men sell success.
While many of us can see the double standard or how they get lost when someone says something that they can't counter, many of their followers blame the women. And there is a cult mentality among celebrities, the ones that take to social media to ridicule Taylor Swift fans will do the same thing when someone is critical of Elon Musk, LeBron James, and Andrew Tate. However, to say this is only on the boys' side is ridiculous. Girls have as much of a problem that doesn't get talked about at all. Yes, the trad wife thing does get talked about, but the unhealthy toxicity young women spew against men. Young women are exposed to women spouting online what preferences they need for a man, and he has to have 6 figures, pay for everything I want, live alone, drive a nice car, and be above 6 feet tall. And girl, you're only 5'2". Anybody above 5'5" is going to be 6 feet to you. And plus, women on TikTok claiming that all men should just leave them alone. They should just be able to go shopping without being harassed. And I guarantee you that a lot of women can go to the store without being harassed. And from personal experience, I was at a Target once, and a woman had an ice cream container, like a Haagen-Dazs kind of thing, and in her cart, and it tipped over. And I don't know how long she was shopping, but the ice cream was starting to seep out through the lid of the ice cream and was getting onto some clothes she had in the cart. And I went to tell her, but she shut me down saying that she had a boyfriend. I immediately turned around and said, I was just going to tell you your ice cream was leaking, but whatever. And then she screamed and got it and then asked me for help. And I walked away. Then she started shouting at me that I was the asshole. It's like that old video of the guys trying to tell the girl that she had a flat tire, and she responds with, I have a boyfriend. And once she realizes, she asks them for help and they just say, oh, get your boyfriend to help. It's that kind of thing. But yet they send mixed signals to young men because they view their videos about wanting to be left alone, but not offering to help when they're struggling. And I've seen that too, where you see videos of women that are like, I lugged this whole thing up these flight of stairs and like 3 guys walked by and no one offered to help me. Well, in your same profile, you have videos of just being left alone. You don't want guys to talk to you. You just want to be able to do things. You can't have it both ways. And while young women say men want transactional relationships, many of the women online say the exact same thing.
A lot of women came at me in that video and said, like, they have the right to choose who they are attracted to. And I'm like, yo, for real, you are absolutely correct. But the problem is a lot of women have unrealistic expectations, right? You want a 6'4" man who's not bald, he has great head of hair, but it gotta be salt and pepper, so he gotta be in his like mid-30s. He can't have no kids. He gotta have $500,000 in his bank account, and he gotta be making 7 figures a year. He already gotta have a house, he gotta have a nice car, and he has to pay for your entire existence, right? And he better love his family, and he better be in the greatest shape of his life. Meanwhile, you ain't got nothing going on for you. And it's fucking delusion. It's fucking delusion. Some of y'all don't be looking at who the hell is gonna help me through the death of my parents, right? Some of y'all don't be looking at, if I were to get sick, is this man gonna be by my side? A lot of y'all have such unrealistic expectations, and that's why all these older women are just single and bitter, and they're like, oh, men is shit. When that's not the reality. It's not. It's really not. It's just that you want the perfect fucking man when you're not perfect.
Social media female influencers claim that it's okay to have standards or preferences. However, if a man does, they're called sexist or misogynistic. And women say she wants a 6-foot guy, that gets applauded. But if a guy says, he's not into women with a lot of body art, women jump on him and call him a sexist. But much of our problems in society is our unwillingness to accept responsibility from both sides. If a woman can have preferences, so can a man. If a man wants a woman that can cook, a woman can want a man that can cook. And on a side note, if you guys think being able to cook is a pussy move, you're fucking gay. Nothing turns a woman on so much more than a man that can cook. Trust me on this one. And it doesn't even have to be a big, like, 7-course meal. Just a simple meal put together with, you know, a little bit of passion, a little bit of flavor, and they're in it. They're in it. Oh, and guys, another thing. There is a thing called toxic masculinity. You can be a man without being a dick. That's what toxic masculinity is. A justification for being a chronic dick. Now, it's like people that say, I'm a bad friend. And that's a phony sense of self-awareness. You use that as an excuse, but you don't actually do anything to improve yourself. And I was taught that being masculine was defending people who can't defend themselves, protecting women, protecting children and animals, being responsible for their own actions, never brag, prove by actions, not words. Toxic masculinity is being a dick to people that can't defend themselves, being a dick to women, being a dick to children and animals, blaming others for your failures, punching down, always bragging, using words, but never backing it up with actions. And at the same token, there is a thing called toxic femininity. Much of the women online are promoting toxic traits, whether it be trad-wife propaganda, anti-feminism rhetoric, anti-male rhetoric, and push unrealistic demands on a man to even just date you. And you hear those women that say all men are trash. And it's all the men's fault. Accountability would be you choose the wrong type of men. As the saying goes, everyone has a type. Now, when a man says all women are trash, they are met with criticism and constantly called a misogynist. However, if a woman does it, it's called empowering. And not all men are trash, just like all women aren't trash. And the people who choose to pursue the people you choose to pursue, they're trash. And I know so many girls in college that would complain about how could they never find a nice guy like me? So when I asked them out, they would reject me and continue to date the guys that they would constantly get hurt by. Recently, you can see TikToks of women complaining that no men approach them anymore. Where are the guys? We got all dressed up and nobody approached me. And when I was young, you could approach a woman anywhere. Now, in my case, if they weren't interested, I'd nod and move on, not continue to bother them, which later I was told by some of the women I respected their responses, and that wasn't the right move, that I needed to try harder. To which my response is always, if I wanted to play a game, I'd play Monopoly. I just wanted a date, not a side quest in Red Dead Redemption.
This is such a sad conditioning that I see so much. And everyone's all really quick to judge. You can even say, myself included, the Manosphere. Oh, the Manosphere is toxic masculinity. How did we get this way? Who made the Manosphere toxic? And people will say the patriarchy. Mothers helped build the patriarchy, right? Society is not all created by men. It's an easy trap to fall into because that's been your experience. The only people who care about you are people who didn't believe in your intrinsic value. And how can I stand here saying this? It's because I actually dated someone who did see my intrinsic value. So I'm one of the lucky ones who saw that, oh my goodness, a different world is possible, right? Where people can respect me even though I haven't accomplished much. And the really cool thing is that when I met that person and they did that for me, it said I didn't want to disappoint them. I was like, they believe I'm capable of something, like I am capable of something. They see something within me and my life is surrounded by failure. So okay, let's give that a shot. Let's try to be something.
Now, I know most people don't have this problem of talking to girls. But again, my point is discussing the history of this movement is a good first step. But coming up with nebulous answers, but not actually putting in effort into it is pointless. And we need to educate young boys that nothing is owed to them, regardless of what influencers selling their courses say. You are not owed a date because you like a woman. You were not owed sex because you bought her dinner. When you get rejected, not because it's not an if, but definitely a when, you will need to have the proper tools to deal with it. And when you hear those alpha males tell you that dealing with your feelings is pussy shit, just think about the grown-ass men whose marriages are falling apart, and instead of dealing with them through proper means, they murder their wives, children, and then themselves. Denying yourself a chance to help will lead you down a destructive road. And for many young men, they grow out of this phase when they find someone. I was rejected a lot, but my attitude was never to hate the entire sex. You'd call that person a few choice expletives, but then you moved on. The psychology is based on no one likes me for me. And the truth is, you will find someone that does. Oh, and the constant use of these wannabe alpha males that hit you with the male loneliness epidemic, there's no such thing. An epidemic would be something that is widespread and affects everyone in one way or another. The problem is not about the world. It is about why women don't want to go out with me. And instead of looking inward, they look outward. And for them, the problem isn't with them. It's with you. And when you choose that point of view, then the problem is very much me.
Come on.
Thanks for tuning in. If you like what I'm doing here, you have two ways to help. One, if you would like to make this show self-sustaining, buy me a Dr. Pepper or feed my cat his bougie food. You can make a one-time donation through either PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, or Zelle. Check the show notes for details and links. Or two, you can share us on social media or review us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. This will make the algorithm gods promote our show to an unsuspecting public. You can check out all of my content, including my other podcasts, at thelazygeeks.com. You can also stalk me on the socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads, and TikTok at The Lazy Geeks, all one word. And if you're old school, email me at thelazygeeksnetwork@gmail.com. So that's it for me this week. Until next time, we're thinking so you don't have to.